World War II will go down as the most influential and worst world war ever. It all started with a simple invasion. This is imperialism. Imperialism, well, it's pretty obvious. Both the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany wanted to expand their empires through military means, which causes this to be my example, well, for imperialism. Well, the Germans need to fund their invasions with food. So it relied on a bunch of farmland in an area known as the Ruhr. It it had a bunch of wheat, which means there needs to be a bunch of farmers, which leads to a lot of population. This really helped the invasion of Benelux and France. This really sped it up too because, well, higher food. You get the point. They are more than the French, which are running out of food. Ah, liberty in Nazi Germany. Not the best place to be a Jew. These areas highlight Jewish areas. And just to make sure, yep, those are Jewish areas in Nazi controlled areas. Well, the Nazis didn't really like them. And yeah, they kind of made it so the Jews didn't have that much land. And this chart shows you Jewish liberty. You can see it completely destroyed in Poland and stuff like that. But then in 1945, it strengthens. Trading with Germany is kind of not the easiest because the Allies will try to stop you. Sweden traded with Germany because they had iron. They went through Norway, which the Allies didn't like, so they cut their supply line by, blockading Norway, which led to the German invasion of Denmark and Norway. Denmark fell, and then it took a couple of days, but after a couple of days, the Germans finally defeated the Norwegians, which after their invasions of Denmark and Norway, they were able to stop the blockade, and irons from Sweden went back to Germany. Ah, finally, the part that led up to the turning point of the war. Basically, there's a reason this is the government. Basically, the communists want to expand and into old Russian lands, so the Soviets took Lithuania, Estonia, and parts of Romania, and then, yeah. You know the picture. The Germans invaded because, the Nazis, it's their core that they absolutely hate communism. Finland tried to take back some former lands before being pushed back and being forced to surrender. Yeah, let's just say this wasn't good. Yes, geography. The only thing that basically saved the UK from total annihilation. Basically, the Germans tried to bombard them with airplanes, tried to land troops. The UK, outnumbered them and absolutely destroyed them because, the English, they controlled the English Channel. Basically, the British do too. Shortly after that, we head out to after the war, or basically when the war ended, when Japan got nuclear bombed not once, but twice, by a technology that the Americans made called nukes. I'd say the relation between the control continuum and Italy trying to reform the Roman Empire was amazing. They wanted land, and they needed resources, which is highlighted in the screen parts. And they could trade with the rest of the Axis, which or would lead to power, and then total control. But sadly, this isn't what happened to the Italians. We have a quick and easy one. Religion. Jews lived in these areas, and the Christians lived in these. The Christians destroyed the Jews. We return to the Eastern Front, where the Germans make their offensive. They take large swaths of land. But this turning point, well, it would all come to a breaking point when they left a singular army to take Stalingrad. Let's just say they didn't go too well. They were very much pushed back by the Soviets. They didn't do too well because it was winter. The Soviets got help from Siberian troops, which they know how to fight in the snow. Let's just say that. They pushed the Germans back. Disease was most prominent on the trenches in the Eastern Front of the war. These, well, are the trenches. Obviously, they're not the actual distance. The types of diseases that infected the trenches and other places like Stalingrad were cholera and hepatitis, which is about to pop up, and it popped up. Yeah, it was really bad. The Germans were also too very focused on the Eastern Front to care about D-Day. Then the Soviets pushed back. And then Italy was pushed back. And then they were pushed out of Ukraine. And then all their allies was destroyed, and then end of an era. It's time for the achievement of the war. One that would almost end the world. In New Mexico, America set off the first nuclear bombs in the northwest of the state, approximately, causing the start of a new era at the end of an old one. This is Hitler's hierarchy. Basically, at the bottom were Jews. Not a lot of people, but Hitler decided to kill them all. Undesirables, basically. In the middle were Christians, a lot of people. Kinda good. And then Aryans, which were basically pure Germans. Really good. Basically, this is Maslow's. No explanation. After the war, straight after the war, barely anyone was able to get level 1. But when the Cold War was starting to really escalate, the Soviets and Communists were able to get to level 4, and the Americans and capitalists level 5 due to freedoms. Thank you for watching this video. This is my world history project on the 13 themes of world history. I hope you guys enjoyed. This took me a while. So yeah, see y'all.